Hey, welcome to a brand new chapter of Old Man Brad. Whether you are new to the show or returning for another chapter, thank you so much for giving me a listen. I really do appreciate it. And if you love the show, drop a review over in your favorite podcatcher, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Good Pods, whatever it may be. I would love to hear what you think of the show. I've been really excited for this episode and for this movie. Last year we got Winnie-the-Pooh, Blood and Honey. This year, Winnie-the-Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 came out, and I'm so excited to bring my wife back to talk this movie. She absolutely hated the first one, but she's back. This is going to be fun. I've been looking forward to this.
I'm Kara, by the way. Or you can just call me his wife.
My wife. We haven't talked about this movie yet. We saw it last night, and we haven't said a single word to each other. I've been wanting to say some things.
As have I. In fact, I started to say something. I was like, nope, saving it for the podcast.
Saving it for the podcast. All right, before we roll into talking about the movie, come out to the Esquire Theater for Frightful Fridays. In April, I am hosting a screening of Brain Scan from 1994, starring Edward Furlong. It's its 30th anniversary. April 19th, 10 p.m. It's going to be an absolute blast. So come out and let's watch a movie together. Let's talk Winnie-the-Pooh, Blood and Honey 2.
Let's begin. I'm going to take you back. Feel all weight drift away. How are you feeling?
Good, I think.
Do you recall anything from the session? Focus. What is happening?
This was the day Billy was taken.
Them kids. They didn't stay buried. It's as if the earth itself was allowing this horror to rise up.
There's some unsettling similarities to the 100-Acre Massacre.
It's not safe. There have been loads of murders leading to Ashdown.
Tell me everything you saw, please.
I knew that this day would come.
All of Ashdown will burn.
Not wanting to live in the shadows any longer, Winnie-the-Pooh, Piglet, Owl, and Tigger take their fight to the town of Ashdown, leaving a bloody trail of death and mayhem in their wake. Written and directed by Reese Frake Waterfield, who also did the previous film. And it stars Scott Chambers as Christopher Robin this time, and Tallulah Evans as Lexi. Those are the two main characters in the film. Like I said before, we went to see this last year. You
can't see my face, but it's one of great disdain.
Big thoughts on the first movie. So, of course, I had to take you to see the second one.
My expectations...
Or should I say drug you to see the second one?
You didn't drug me. I didn't even drink anything before we went.
I drug you. I pulled you by the hand and I pulled you in.
You did get me Chick-fil-A.
I did.
That is kind of a drug. I had very low expectations going in because the first one is an abomination. Here is what I will say.
I know you wanted to kind of speak your piece of this first one.
When we went and saw the first one, I also went in with very low expectations. But those expectations were heightened when the first 5 minutes of the movie were kept in the true style of Winnie the Pooh and the illustrations from the original books. I was like, hey, this actually looks great. Like, I don't know what I'm getting into, but the voiceover that they did, everything was in keeping with that original style. Now, yes I knew it was going to go to horror. I had all that. That was not a big deal to me. But the severe drop, as in like Grand Canyon sized cliff from the amount of time and effort they took for the first 5 minutes and the backstory, which by the way, eating Eeyore is hilarious. That will always be like a favorite part of mine, was too much for anything to overcome.
I knew it was going to be bad. I
can't
enjoyed
get
it.
out of this pool. That's the size of a bathtub.
Still the best scene when they're going down the long pool instead of running sideways. She's still going through the pool.
And I can't get through it. It's so hard. Dude.
But I was one of the very few probably in the world that really enjoyed
Obviously
the first
not,
Blood and
because
Honey.
it made enough money that they made a second one. So you
didn't-
obviously were not the only one.
It did make enough money. I mean, the first one was made for like $50,000, I think. This one, I think their budget was something like $2.5 million.
Baby got an increase.
Oh, yes. And
Baby got an increase.
you could immediately tell that it was a larger budget.
There was a story.
It looked good.
There was a plot that they actually followed. It looked very, very good. They had actors that could, I don't know, act.
So before we get into the spoileriness of it.
Oh, I'm not going to spoil.
Oh, we can go full spoilers.
Okay.
Because there's a lot I want to talk about of kills and other said things. Did you like this one more than the first one?
Brad, there was nowhere to go but up.
So that's a yes.
No, I did. I enjoyed it. It's a good slasher flick. It's a good, fun, scary movie. Is it going to be one of my favorites? No, but it was fun. I mean, it had some great kills. It had some good moments. You folks don't know this. He knows this. In a previous life, I was big into theater and did a lot of theatrical makeup and hair and stuff. And in another world, had I known like from my podunk town that like that was a career I would have had, special effect makeup is probably what I would have gone into. And they had some awesome special effects.
The masks were a step up from the
they were a step
rubber
up,
masks.
But I maintain Tigger's mask and Pooh's mask
They
were
looked
the
very
exact
similar.
same
Yeah,
mask, and
yeah.
they painted stripes on it, and that wasn't good. They needed to switch that up.
Piglet looked much better.
Again, there wasn't a way to go down on that one.
He didn't look so much like a warthog.
He looked like Pumbaa last time.
He did.
It didn't work.
But I agree. Pooh and Tigger looked very similar as far as the face.
I did not. That was my one complaint, because there's a part when they first introduced Tigger, and I completely missed that it was Tigger because I didn't hear the line
until he said "bitch."
Yeah, bitch. and then because in my mind he looked just like Pooh, and it was all shadowed. So I was like, okay, whatever. It's time to bounce. And he's like, that's my line.
Yeah. This one kind of picks up a little after the first one.
I think they say it's a 2 year. No, because he's finished medical school. He's finished medical school and he's in a job. He's in a hospital job. It might be residency, but I'm not sure on that.
The 100 Acre Wood Massacre.
Is what they're referring to it as.
Some people think that Christopher Robin did it. Some people don't. They're trying to find them.
Some of his friends believe him, and they have kept a vigilant watch
for them to come back.
Yes.
What I find funny is, yes, they're kind of referring to this first movie as that massacre, but then the first movie is kind of very meta as it's part of this movie.
Yes.
Because they're watching it.
Yes. They made the movie and now they're watching the movie. I do need to stop us for a minute.
Yes. Okay.
How spoilery are we getting?
Here forward, we're going to go full spoiler. So if you haven't seen the movie, because there's a lot I do want to talk about, like my favorite kill in the movie and everything else. Yeah.
Well, I just have a snarky comment to make.
Okay.
But I don't think I can make said snarky comment without giving away something. Okay, so in this movie, you and I have just said he has finished medical school.
Correct.
And is, at least if he's not finished residency, he's in a first year, he's got a job.
Yeah.
So UK medical school, very similar to ours in length and time. So that's going to put him at minimum 28.
Maybe.
Yes. We'll pretend 26.
Okay.
And he has a 6-year-old sister?
You know, the family just they lost their other son.
Yeah,
So, and
but
they
and then you look at mom and dad. That means that mom and dad, at minimum, were having this kid at 50.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like maybe at first I was like adopted sister or something else. But yeah, he has a very young sister. He's a doctor at a hospital.
Honestly, that is probably the biggest incongruency in the whole thing. Like everything else, they did keep pretty good. And obviously, she's going to end up playing in future films.
Oh, yeah.
1,000%.
Yeah, because they 100% set that up.
They set it up. I mean, it's very obvious, but...
Because especially the way the story goes, I mean, this is going to full spoil, is they change up the story that we got from the first one of how...
But they did it well.
They did. He was friends with Pooh and all of them, but they kind of switched it of how
basically instead of in the first one where it was like he went to college and left them to fend for themselves, it was more Christopher always saw what he wanted to see of them because it made sense in his mind.
Yes.
And it was his way of processing a very traumatic event.
Yeah, his brother got taken
at their birthday party.
And Pooh,
as did 7 other children, or 7 children total,
which become Pooh, Piglet, Owl, Tigger,
Eeyore, Owl, Rabbit.
There's someone who is a, island of Dr. Moreau experimenting on animals and humans and creates them.
Yes. Going back, didn't like Owl.
He looked more like a vulture than an owl.
Yeah. He didn't look like an owl. He needed the boxier head.
Yes. I thought he was creepy.
He was
had
very,
some good lines and flying after people.
Yeah, no. The creepy factor was there. It just didn't work for him to be Owl.
This one compared to the first one is a lot bloodier.
Oh, 1,000%.
A lot more kills. Holy moly.
A lot more kills. Better kills. I didn't get him just carrying around the bear trap.
Just dragging it around?
Yeah.
Well, it worked for him at the beginning, the opening scene when he crushed the girl's head with the bear trap. And he's like, you know what? I'm going to take this around with me. I kind of like it.
And that is fine. And he does use it again.
He uses it again for the coolest kill in the whole movie. When he throws it at someone's head, rips their head off, and then grabs a pipe and baseball bats the head as it blows up. I was like, that was awesome.
That was a great kill in what might be one of the stupidest sidebars of the whole movie.
Which one?
We're going to have a rave.
We're going to have a rave.
We're in a town of 500 people. We're going to have a rave. Well, and it's going to be mostly nude people.
Again, we're back to it is a small town.
Like they make it a point to point out how small this town is over and over.
And some people are thinking Christopher Robin is a murderer. Some people don't. But yet he has a job at this hospital. And then some bodies start to show up and they decide, we're going to fire you now.
Because it's not good press for the hospital. Okay. And then the girl who's holding the rave is like, well, are you still going to come? Because like if you're here, they'll just be talking about the fact that there's a murderer here instead of my rave.
And that's actually kind of how she did talk. So.
I mean, yeah.
and his friend Lexi couldn't go because she had to babysit the kid who's all into horror movies. And that's where they're watching the first movie on TV because they made a movie of the massacre.
And she's like, isn't it your boyfriend who like murdered all these people? She's like, he didn't murder them, but yes, the movie is about him.
Which when they showed a clip from the movie, it had the best thing when he goes, it's poo in time. And it's lightning bolts happen.
Yeah.
This movie, if you did not like the first movie.
And here's the thing. If you didn't see the first movie, you don't need to see the first movie.
Nope, not at all.
This is perfectly fine. Hopefully it gives you a better idea of where things are headed with the Poohniverse, which we can get to that in a minute.
That it's called a Poohniverse?
Poohniverse, yeah. That's your favorite kill, and that was definitely one of mine, but I still think I like getting killed by your own arm better.
That was pretty good too. Was that Owl that did that, or was that
No, that
Pooh?
was Pooh. Pooh had a thing with just ripping people's arms off.
Or heads.
One
of the two.
I mean, it was just like, I'm done with you. Let me take a limb of some sort and remove it. Arm, leg, head.
Owl kind of just talked to him a little bit, kind of teased him. So did Tigger. But then Tigger more slashed. He was just a slasher.
He liked to just take his claws and go at him.
Like, I didn't like the look of Owl as much. Like I said, he kind of looked more vulture-y. I did like his character. Did you like Tigger as a character?
No.
How they did him?
No.
He was in a straitjacket, kind of psycho. They kept him locked up, but then he just used his claws, called people bitch.
Let's be clear. Tigger is psycho.
Well, yes.
Like if you put a mental illness on every single Pooh character, which you can do and has been done, everybody can just go look that up for themselves. Tigger is 1,000% ADHD with the capital H and a little off his rocker. So that jacket piece is kind of fun, but every now and then, like there was a part where they were, and I don't know if you picked up on it. I did because I still sing the song. They were playing Tigger's song in the background.
Ooh, no, I didn't pick that up.
Every now and then they'd pop out with a little something fun. He's the fun character in Winnie-the-Pooh. He's the only...
He's full of energy.
He is the one who should be bringing some sort of little comic relief to this. He could be the one who could add a little something extra.
Whereas he had a few one-liners, but they weren't
great.
Like the one with the police officers, they said, "Let's bounce," and he's like, "That's my line," and then kills them all.
And see, that would have been fine, but that's kind of the only time they kept with that. Tigger's big thing is he bounces on his tail.
Yeah, I was waiting for him to jump on somebody.
Exactly. As well they should. And then at one point, okay, this sidebar, Pooh suddenly decides to run on 4 legs. Why? He's been upright on his 2 legs for 2 movies.
Bear run.
Stupid. But I kept waiting. I was like, okay, if we're gonna do this, you've got Owl flying. Why don't you got Tigger bouncing?
True. I was waiting for him to jump on somebody, to bounce on somebody.
And poor Piglet gets killed again.
Poor Piglet dies, like 5 minutes into the movie?
Maybe, yeah.
He looked good.
He did
and
look
they're
better.
Like, we're just going to kill him off.
You're done.
The backstory with these kids that become the animals. And I leaned over to you. I was like, Pooh's going to be his brother.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And I was like, no. And then I was like, no, you're right.
Now, question for you. We talked about his younger sister is going to become more. She wants to be called Bunny, or she wants to be called,
No,
Bunny.
She wants to be Bunny.
Bunny. Do you think she becomes one of them? Could she become Rabbit? Like, is there a Rabbit already, or will she become Rabbit?
Technically, there's a rabbit already.
True. They did set it up originally with that.
They already set it up that way. I think one of the things that could be right, could be wrong here, they kept a room as a shrine basically to Billy.
Correct.
And they were, what, 7, 10 when they...
Somewhere between there, yeah. When he got taken.
So they have this room. No one's supposed to go in there. She goes in there and takes a doll.
That is...
A teddy bear that she then disfigures. She takes a limb off of it, rips its guts out, and sews in intestine, puts weird teeth on it, pulls an eyeball out, and puts a different eye on it. And no one is questioning what is wrong with this child.
It's like an ugly doll, but uglier that she created.
And no one thinks there's anything messed up with this.
Or do they create their own and she becomes Rue? So Rue's the youngest of all of this crew.
Or does she become the crazy doctor?
I don't know. I mean, they did say there was an intro before the movie with Scott Chambers and Reese about the Poohniverse, and there is going to be a Blood and Honey 3. They did say that.
Know that.
And they've said that other characters like Rabbit's coming, Rue's coming, all the other characters, the Huffle?
Heffalumps and Woozles.
I'm not as familiar with them, but they said they're coming.
They're kind of Pooh's fever dream.
Did you notice when they were burning down the forest and they showed the map? The map at the bottom said the Huffalumps live here.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like question marked out and you don't know what's really over there.
Yeah.
I thought it was cool that they kind of still use that map. They still use a lot of that animation that kind of brought that animation back to tell some of the story.
I will say that the parts where they decided to bring in animation were not really congruent with the rest of the film.
The earlier they used it was fine.
Yep.
But right in the middle of the movie when they were explaining the, Dr. Moreau guy.
Random.
It was a little random.
And I'm sure that, and I feel like they had to do that For time.
Time, yeah. Time and budget.
I guarantee you it was time because they said they had lots more stuff they wanted to put in there and they couldn't. They had to cut a bunch.
They said there were like 7 or 8 kills that they cut out.
And they did keep a lot of really good kills.
They did. I mean, they unleashed Pooh and Tigger on the rave.
They unleashed Pooh and Tigger in the first 30 seconds of the film.
Yes.
Okay, other thing, and I get why they did it, but I still find it random, and I think it's going to figure into 3, the weird hypnotherapist.
Yes, where she's trying to bring up the memories for Christopher Robin.
She's trying to bring up the memories, but if you look at her weird little lair, really?
But we didn't ever see the doctor. The guy that he found was the guy who just captured the kids and brought them to him. So we haven't seen this doctor yet. He could be showing up. He could be showing up in the other movies since this is the Poohniverse now.
Right.
They had talked about the other movies. We got a little tease for Bambi the Reckoning.
I cannot wait to watch Pooh ride Bambi.
But the little clip that we have was Bambi like hitting a car and flipping it over. And
I am all in for Killer Deer.
Awesome.
It is going to be dumb and it is going to be great.
But even the credits, they show like the other characters in the credits of this one, just setting you up that they're all going to come together.
It's all going to come together.
I don't know what story. I think that doctor is going to be the overarching of,
I would imagine,
of the Poohniverse.
I would imagine. It's probably Geppetto.
Oh, that's a good call. That he creates Bambi and Peter Pan and all of them in his experiments that he does. That's heard it here first, right here on Old Man Brad. Anything more you want to say about Winnie-the-Pooh, Blood and Honey 2?
The rave scene, the amount of deaths that you see are very minimal in comparison to the amount of bodies we see.
Yes, because when they're coming through at the end, they're just
like,
stacked
holy
up.
moly!
What extras can we get? Okay, you just need to lay on the floor. We need to make it look like we killed a whole lot of people.
The other thing that I do find kind of weird, and they're obviously, again, they're setting this up. You have this babysitter, Lexi. She's like the number 2, the second main character. She is at best a very, very, very side character.
Correct. She's only there when needed. When needed
to move the story along. And I think, if anything, her little babysitting charge and his 6-year-old sister are gonna spearhead something together. Because otherwise there wasn't really a reason to bring them in. Although he did capture Pooh on film.
He did.
To prove that Christopher Robin wasn't a psycho.
So people would believe him. Someone did believe him. Someone who survived the attack from Pooh.
Another favorite death, I have to say, is the dishwasher.
Well, you saw that one coming.
You did.
Because she made the comment about putting the knives in the dishwasher upside down. I'm like, well, there's some foreshadowing, isn't it?
Yep.
And then, of course, where do you think? Boom, there goes the head.
Pooh has the opportunity to kill the little sister.
Oh, they do kill Pooh.
Yes, they do.
Which I thought it was hilarious when he killed Pooh with the axe, because Pooh goes, oh, bother. And then axe right in his skull. And you're just like laughing. But they made the comment they used, what did they say, axolotl DNA or something.
Yes,
so they can regenerate.
Yeah.
So they're both Piglet and Pooh are regenerating at the end, so we can have them all back.
But their strength is their friendship.
Yes.
That is the comment Owl makes. He doesn't know that our strength is in our friendship.
It's still stupid, but this one, I mean, I enjoyed the first one, but this one was so much more fun than the first one.
It was. I will also say one of the things that they said that didn't make sense to me, and maybe it will make more sense as time goes on, this was, I won't call it a reboot because they do talk back to the first one, although you do not need to see the first one to see this one. I know I already said that.
I know they talk about the first one, but then make it meta, and then
they talk about the first one a lot, actually. One of the things that they talk about is they're getting close, and by they, I mean Pooh, Owl, Piglet, for the 3 seconds he was there. They're getting closer to us. This is the closest they've ever gotten. We have a choice to make. We're getting weaker and weaker. We can wait for them to come to us, or we can take the fight to them. Every time we wait, we get weaker. If it was about a food source, the rave doesn't make sense. So what is it that makes them weaker? I think that's my bigger question, is because the first time they kind of made it out like, hey, we're starving, we've gone mad.
Yep.
These are very definitely people who have not gone mad, except for maybe Tigger, who's locked in a cage.
In this one, they do eat somewhat, some of the people in...
Somewhat, but then they also throw pieces in the river, which, as I said, why wouldn't you eat the leg? That seems like a pretty meaty, tasty piece.
I don't know. I don't know what the weakness, but yeah, you're right, because they kill all these people at a rave, so it's like, man, we're stocked for the winter easily. Now, we should be good.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it'll come later. Maybe there's something more that they need.
But they were just leaving things, too. Like, they just left bodies hanging. There's one guy, and this is where I thought this was really awesome special effect makeup, where they ripped this guy's face off, half of it. And when he takes his bandages off, like his lips are...
He got shot with a shotgun.
Yeah,
that's why his face came off.
His lips are sewn shut. Like, just all of the wound and the reconstruction was super cool.
Grotesque. And
yeah.
But it was...
I don't know how he was awake and writing on a dry erase board hours after, but whatever. But the magic of movies.
Winnie-the-Pooh got a budget. It showed, for sure.
And they did a good job with it. And it had a good plot. They followed the plot through. The people could act.
Did it have holes? Absolutely. Was it silly and stupid? Absolutely. But it was fun. And I really look forward to seeing more of these.
I really enjoyed even the first 10 minutes of the film.
I could tell that you were a little more into it, especially because you would react to kills. It's like, oh, that was cool. That was fun. And unlike the other one,
they were better.
They were.
There were still stupid moments, but again, on the last one, really? You can't get out of the pool? That is maybe 2 feet deep and 3 feet wide.
And it wasn't just a stupid rubber mask when he was wearing yellow rubber gloves. And remember the first one, he just slaps someone?
Yes.
What?
I did find that funny.
I know we spoiled it, but it's still, this isn't
Oh no, you need to see it. The seeing it is...
Giving anything away honestly could ruin it. Go see it. It's super fun. So much more fun than the first one. All right, before we move out, I do have one thing I'm going to tell you to watch at home. And I'm honestly going to tell you, you don't have to see it, but I enjoyed it. Go watch Pooh, Blood and Honey on Peacock. Go watch it. I've watched it 3 times. I really enjoyed it.
He's a psycho.
I am.
Here's a better recommendation. Watch The Killing on Hulu.
Yeah, that's what you've been watching. I know I've asked multiple times. I don't remember what it's about.
When he is dead, just know it's because he never listens to his wife. Or our dog ate him. One of the two.
So The Killing on Hulu.
Yes.
What is the basic premise?
Basic premise is... police procedural, kind of. Teenage girl goes missing. They find her. She was put in the trunk of a car, which was pushed into a pond. And the car happened to belong to people who are running in an election. And then it's this unraveling of why and who. And she was well-liked and smart and going places and not... they can't figure out where this is going and why.
Okay. All right.
Pretty grisly. Depending on...
Okay.
I mean, if you're watching Blood and Honey 2, you can probably...
You can probably watch this on Hulu. Bring home Bob Marley, One Love. Buy on digital now. Celebrate the life and music of an icon who inspired generations through the message of love, peace, and unity. Film critics are calling the perfect movie at the perfect time, and you get over 50 minutes of behind-the-scenes footage and deleted scenes. Available on digital now from Paramount Pictures. That will do it for another chapter of Old Man Brad. Just subscribe to the show and you will never miss any chapter of Old Man Brad. I will be back soon with a brand new episode. Just snuggle up in that blanket, turn off the lights, because it's okay to be scared. We'll talk to you later, everybody.